think it's a bit dangerous. I mean, that's the first thing that you are told that you shouldn't do with an open grand piano, and especially one that costs several million crowns. So yeah.
I don't think my insurance will cover it, actually.
This is a very nice piano. We should treat it well, maybe.
Yes. Do you feel like playing this again now?
I'm so happy I don't have to play this shit again, because how many times have I played it today? Like
60?
60? I'm so happy.
Behind the scenes for the behind the scenes of the actual thing that we made. That was a lot to wrap my head around. You get a big microphone. As a part of making our documentary about Josep, we offered to help him record his new song for the YouTube video that he was making. And this video is about how we made that happen. This day we were essentially making 3 films at the same time. Josep's video for YouTube, the recording of Josep's video scene for the documentary, and this BTS film. We decided to use 3 different cameras just to be able to keep track of what we were doing. The Sony a7 IV to record Josep playing the piano, since it's lightweight and can be fit into tight spaces, which we kind of needed. The red Komodo to film him filming and playing for the doc scene. And finally, the Canon R5 for the BTS content.
Sounds good.
Okay, find another idea. So it was kind of confusing on location when we were running around, 2 people with 3 cameras and someone who knew exactly what he wanted.
Sen egentligen om man får lite trä, alltså lite...
Josep was directing himself, and he had a pretty solid plan of which angles he needed, all printed out on big sheets of paper so we could easily tick off the completed ones. The challenge here was to get every angle just the way it was envisioned. Since Josep is pretty much a perfectionist, which we cover in detail in the documentary, link in description, he wasn't satisfied until he had played everything perfectly in each take, regardless if the fingers and keys were at all visible. This makes me think of Steve Jobs when he designed the very first Apple products, how he wasn't satisfied with the design of the circuit boards on the inside until they looked aesthetically pleasing. Even if no one was ever supposed to open that computer, he wanted it to look beautiful on the inside as well. Some of the shots proved to be more challenging than others, but we started with the easy shots to get warmed up. The light setup was very sparse, with an Aperture 300X and a big softbox lighting Josep from behind, complemented by a little kicker of colder light coming from the opposite direction using an Amaran 200X. One of the most important shots to make was the top-down angle to get his hands on the keys from above. Since we used the relatively lightly rigged Sony a7 IV, we could mount it on a C-stand with a boom arm. This is not something that I would recommend for a planned shoot where you have some sort of budget, but it worked. There are 1,000 ways you can do this, but with the equipment we could fit into my car and bring to this shoot, this was the best option that we had available, and it looked like the camera was gonna fall off, but it didn't, so we're happy about that. The issue was to get it into the right position to frame the image, since it was so high up and we didn't have a ladder. By using the Sony app we could, with a slight delay, see what we were framing and then make small adjustments until we had something that we could work with. It was a bit of a messy process, but it did the job. Another challenging thing was to keep every angle and take in sync. For the intro and outro we used a metronome so that Josep knew exactly when to start playing and also when to lift his hands off the piano when the song had ended. This worked perfectly, and I take no credit for it whatsoever since it was all Josep's idea, but it's stored up here for future projects. We also had to invent some unconventional ways of camera support.
You feeling steady there?
No.
Use this.
Alright. Yeah, it kind of works.
Banana rig. And just before the interview, we started thinking about the intro shot. For the opening shot of Josep's film, we want the piano to open up and spin 180 degrees without you seeing anybody doing that. And now we're trying to figure out how to make that happen.
So my idea is maybe we can keep the center of rotation if...
The challenge spinning the piano is keeping the center of rotation. But a piano doesn't really have a center axis. We haven't figured out yet, but we will make an attempt. This is a somewhat challenging way of doing this, but it's gonna be fun. So my proposed solution to that was... So if we find the string, and we find the center here, and we tape the string to the piano, and then we mark the floor. Mm-hmm. Then we have a
center of rotation.
We have a center that we can rotate around. And then we have to, between each part of the rotation, we have to go in and check that we're on center. And we have to do this 25 times to make it happen in 1 second.
Yeah.
You're up for it? Or should we do the interview first? This proved to be too challenging and too time consuming, since the time was already about 10 o'clock in the night, and we still had to make the interview, the main interview for the documentary before we could go home.
My name is Josep Castanyer Alonso. I think it's a bit dangerous. Rotate the piano with the lid open. And I mean, that's the first thing that you are told that you shouldn't do with an open grand piano, and especially one that costs several million crowns. So we can find another solution without risking destroying a Steinway the grand piano.
I don't think my insurance will cover it, actually.
No, not mine either. So I think this is a very nice piano. We should treat it well, maybe.
Yes. So we pressed pause on that idea. But these thoughts of impossible shots has actually inspired us a lot. And we're about to record a new video with Josep containing some crazy imagery using a robot arm. Make sure you subscribe to not miss it. The result, I think, turned out really good. The video that Josep made with all the graphics and the different angles will turn some heads here on YouTube, and the shots that we got for the scene in the documentary makes the film light up really well. It's a bit of a meta situation where the scene we came to shoot is essentially a behind the scenes scene, which we filmed behind the scenes for as well. Confusing. But that's it for today. Hope you got inspired to go out and shoot something. Make sure to comment if you like it or if you have any questions, and also check out the documentary. It should be up here on screen. Ha det fint.